Good evening, everyone. My name is Reverend Mary Morgan, and tonight's topic is practicing spiritual principles. Isn't that an interesting topic? Practicing spiritual principles. So I looked up in the Science of Mind book to say, what do they mean by principle? And in the glossary of the book, it says, principle is the source or cause from which a thing results, a truth which is unchangeable. Now, we know that science of mind is based on the principle of being. It is the life principle of who and what we are. Now, let's start from the beginning. And in the beginning, the science of mind principles remind us that there is a universal power. Call that God, call that creative intelligence, call that infinite intelligence, call it divine mind. But what it is the very source of our being. And it is not that we're separate from God. We are one with that power because we are created of that power. So the power of God is not all expressing through us, but we are expressing God through us. Feel the difference is that the allness of God is in all of us. So the universal mind or the intelligence of God is the origin of everything. It is the creator of us, and therefore we are made of it, therefore use the very same powers that God uses. Now, when I was growing up, I was brought up in the Catholic modality, and if we would say that in our teaching, it would almost be considered blasphemous. But it isn't, because God is the creator of all things, and it starts with God. And we are knowing that that universal energy finds its outlet and expression through each and every one of us. So God, by means of me, God, by means of you, is having its experience of life in all these different facets throughout the entire universe and beyond. Everything that lives and moves and has its being does so through this power. So the universal mind, or the life principle of God, teaches us that everything in existence is God-based. So it's all God. As our beautiful author Walter Starkey wrote the book, It's All God. So many of us, and many times you and I may be on the right path, but sometimes we live in the outside world. But this teaching reminds us that to live a truly centered life, centered in God, we live from the inside out. And we also know that the world is created from within. It's not as we think that the world out there creates our life, creates our experience, although many times we allow the appearances in life to dictate our moods, our thoughts, the actions that we have, the relationships we establish. But instead, this teaching reminds us that everything starts with God. So if you start from within, the within creates that world that you're experiencing. Everything in appearance was created by thought. Now remember that thoughts do not create things. We say thought creates, and in one sense it does. But the thought itself doesn't create, does it? It is the energy of the thought that fuels the activity to happen. And that is a vibrational energy. And either we are creating a vibrational energy in the flow of what it is we desire, or we are blocking that flow. But that energy is always created by the thought that we have. So the world within is cause, and the world without is effect. The world within is universal supply, and the world without is the outlet or the stream of that universal supply. So our ability to receive results in how well we recognize that universal flow in our experience, how well we engage that infinite intelligence, which is our outlet. Now, you and I may say, that's wonderful, but how can I act on the infinite intelligence? You do so by thinking, and it is by right thinking. It's not just by thinking, because thinking does make it so. It comes from our ability to know that the power that created me is also the power that I am engaging in right now, that sees the substance of things and creates it into form. Each one of us Each one of us is an individual center in the consciousness of life. No more, no less. No one's any greater, no matter how many degrees you have or how long you've been going to church, how long you've been praying and meditating and sitting up on a mountain, communing with Spirit. All of us are individualized centers of God, the consciousness of life. So the supreme mind and the power and back of all things created form, excuse me, an infinite intelligence knows and it engages in the infinite law of mind. So think about, I always give this example of a petri dish. And remember when you were a kid, maybe in kindergarten or even first grade, you have a little dish that was filled with plaster Paris. And the plaster Paris, you were going to make an imprint of your hand. So you'd put your hand in the plaster Paris, and when you took your hand out, you could hold up that plaster, and it would have an impress of your hand. It is the same with life. It receives the impress of our thought. And our thought, many times, we've got conscious level and we've got subconscious level. Our thought creates that energy by which we create what it is we desire. So our charge is to make welcome the goodness of life. So we have the power within us to use that infinite intelligence, but it requires our directing that thought. Remember in the Bible it says, as you believe, so it is done unto you. And if you're facing a challenge right now, think about it. Sometimes we become such experts at telling people what's troubling us and what's wrong with us. And we could go on forever about all the things that aren't working in our lives. But think about it. Where is your energy? Where is your energy? That's a time to pull back and say, are the thoughts that I'm thinking harmonious with the desire that I want to create in my experience? And if they're not, guess what? You get to choose again. Think again. Catch yourself. It doesn't mean we don't go south and start thinking about something that's maybe crazy or a little hyper or whatever it is. But stop yourself and say, oh, wait a second. I almost forgot. I am the life principle of God expressing as me, and you're the life principle of God expressing as you. Let's figure this out together. I have this beautiful affirmation, and it says, I allow unexpected good to happen in my life right now. And when you say that affirmation, I allow unexpected good, because we're ready for the expected good. But sometimes the universe has wonderful things planned for us, and we kind of miss it because we're so on the path of what it is we think that we want. Remember, we don't have to worry about the how of things. God's business is the how of things. Ours is the what. And when we make the choice to say, I allow unexpected good to happen in my life right now, when you say right now, we're not putting it off. We're saying right now. And then when you say that, look for it. Look for the good showing up in your life. And it can be minuscule things. You find a penny on the ground. Somebody gives you the right of way when you're at the stop sign and it wasn't your turn. You go to the food store and that favorite cracker that you were looking for is there. Whatever it is, know that the power of God is always waiting and responding to the energy with which we give it. The Bible says, all things are possible to they that believe. Now think about that. What is it that you're believing in? Are you believing in the appearances out there, or are you believing in the truth within you? Are you letting what's out there dictate your life, or are you making choices that are saying, God is and I am? I remember hearing a story about a POW, and he loved golf. And so he said that in his mind, he played golf every single day while he was in captivity. And when he was freed and went golfing with his friends, it was like he didn't miss a beat. And he hit a 68 on that 18 par. And he was like, the friends were like, how did you do that? He said, because I played in my mind every day. Rehearse in your mind every day what it is you desire. See the wonderful things happening. See the bank account filling up. See the new clothes. See the beautiful food that you're cooking, whatever. Creativity is found in the imagination. So take the time each day to tap into those mystical powers that all of us have. They are God powers. Don't let your circumstances dictate your mood or your thoughts. And when you say, I allow unexpected good, look for it. Because whatever it is that we desire, desires us. whatever it is that we desire desires us. We would not have the thought unless it was about to happen to us. And also, Ernest Holmes reminds us, whatever we think and whatever we speak and whatever we ask, it is already there. It is already in mind because we create twice, don't we? We create by thought and then it turns into form. So it is already happening to us. Remember, also it says in the Bible, it's the Father's good wish to bring to us all that we desire, right? So go to God and ask God what his plans are for you. Many times we go to God and say, this is what I want, this is how I want it, this is what I want to happen, etc. But that's like, you wouldn't go to Frank Lloyd Wright and tell him how to build a building, would you? You wouldn't go to Monet and tell him how to paint a painting. You wouldn't go to Einstein and have him tell him how to prepare mathematical equations. So when you go to God, you're going to the master creator. God knows what to do. We just say, directive. We give the directive. We give the declaration. This is what I'm knowing. I don't have to know how, but I'm knowing good showing up in my life right now. I am expecting the miracles of money and abundance and joy and relationships and love and health and peace and power and beauty. Boom. God knows what to do. You just keep your mind steady on the path. So whatever it is you desire, you pray believing that it's already there and you'll receive it. The key is believing and you will already receive it. Let go of the need to say how things are going to happen. Remember, that's God's business. Your faith draws on the universality of good and causes that which is unseen to be seen. So know with me right now, in closing, I live in calm anticipation of good and only good showing up in my life. And I am guided by an infinite intelligence that loves me, supports me, and creates exactly what it is that I desire. So swing for the fences, just like the baseball players do. Just swing for the fences and know your best and highest is longing to show up for you and make yourself ready for it. And so it is.